welcome to the Guts to Fail, Thursday, November 5th. And we have Leah, and I say Thrapp, right?
Yes, Thrapp.
Yes, Leah Thrapp with Flip Flops and Adventures. I really don't even understand how we know each other, other than just kind of like are in the fold and stitched together through different groups and people.
Yeah.
And you know, we go on Facebook and you're like, you have 962 common friends. And it's we know each other. And we've somebody says, hey Brooklyn. Okay, so make sure I'm gonna do a little bit of housekeeping after I introduce Leah. But basically I wanted you guys to hear her story. She's got some really great ones. She also started for Little Elm Love Packs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Little Elm Love Packs. We're going to talk about what that is. She was a travel agent for 10 years before starting Flip Flops and Adventures. And it is, what would you call that? I
call it carefully curated escorted tours. So
Yes. And so she has the inside knowledge and the ability to talk to people that we layman people would not be able to do. So her tours and adventures are unique and way beyond what you could do or put together on your own. So I cannot wait to hear her story on how she got started with that. But before we dive in really quick, I'm just going to let you know, make sure you allow StreamYard your Facebook access so we can see who's commenting. And if you haven't done that, just say, hey, it's Vanessa or whoever, so that we can say hi and interact with you as much as possible. And if you're watching the replay, please use #replay. So without further ado, Leah, I want you to just dive right in. Tell us about who you are, family, where you live, and about how you got started.
Okay. So I live in West Frisco. I grew up I'm a native Texan. I think I'm actually a 6th generation Texan. So
Wow.
We lived here before it was Texas, my family did. And I grew up in Coppell, and now I live in West Frisco, and I have 2 kids. I have a 7-year-old and a 1-year-old. She just turned 1 a couple weeks ago. And my husband, Justin. So we all really like living in Frisco and working in this community. And it's good to call it home, but I like to leave as much as possible also so that I can come home. So I really miss traveling right now a lot.
Yes.
And it's tough.
Tell us about just kind of fill us in a little bit on your daughter and how, because that was a really big, the recent big thing for y'all, and just kind of how she came about.
Yeah, so we had been trying to get pregnant for about 4 years. We did all the infertility treatments, which we had to do some with Jameson, but we had him, so I thought that we had it figured out and it would be okay for the next one, but none of it was working. And so we finally decided, okay, maybe it's not meant to be for me to be pregnant and have a baby. So we were looking into surrogacy, and then this adoption situation just fell in our lap, and it was like a birth mom picked us in like 4 days, but the baby was due in 2 months. And it was this insane sprint of home studies and fingerprinting and, you know, all the background checks and all the things you have to do. And the week the baby was supposed to come home was in February of last year. And I got sick. Well, I thought I just had allergies. But my husband was like, you sound terrible. You should go to the doctor. And I was like, okay, I guess I should go. He's like, just in case, you know, that you have something contagious. And I was like, right. So I go to like CVS Minute Clinic, and they said, don't freak out, but you have the flu. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? I've never had the flu in my whole life. I can't have the flu the week I'm bringing home a newborn. Like, that's ridiculous. The boys are going to catch it. Like, that's not okay. She was like, I don't know what to tell you. You're just going to have to like, you know, Lysol. And I was like, oh, this is not cool, but okay. It's like I went home and like Lysoled my house and like quarantined from the boys. And I was like, we can't bring a baby home to like a flu-ridden house. You know, I was panicking about it. Mm-hmm. And then they said, if you don't get better, come back on Monday, because sometimes flu can turn into pneumonia, and that's what's dangerous about it. So on Monday, my chest hurt, and I was like, well, of course, I need to go back to the doctor. So the baby is now supposed to come home on Wednesday. So on Monday, I went to the doctor, and I was like, I still don't feel good. And she said, well, you probably have pneumonia, so you probably need Levaquin, and we can't give you strong antibiotics unless you take a pregnancy test. And we laughed about how like obviously silly that was. So I took a pregnancy test, and she was like, I see a line. Do you see a line? And I was like, I'm sorry. that's ridiculous. Like, no. And she was like, no, you need to come look at this. And I was like, this is like the craziest conversation I've ever had in my whole life. And she was like, yeah, I get that, but you're pregnant. And I was like, I don't know what to do with that. Like, I'm having a baby in 2 days, so I don't have time to be pregnant because that's ridiculous. I was like, I can't do that. I'm too old for that. Like,
wait, stop. You had this conversation at the Minute Clinic at CVS.
Yes, in Target. Like, every time I walk by it still, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the Target where I like, my whole life changed. Yeah, it was so crazy. And so,
you had the flu.
I had the flu. And I didn't have pneumonia. So she became like very unhelpful at that point because you can't take anything when you're pregnant. And she didn't know what to do with me. So she was like, maybe I can give you like a little Z-Pack or something. And I was like, listen, if I'm pregnant with pneumonia, I don't think a Z-Pack is like what I need. And like, I don't think you're the person for this job anymore. Like, no offense, but I'm just going to like, can I have a Ziploc bag? I literally like took my pregnancy test and like went home. I was like, I have to go. I can't. I just like walked out. And my husband was at home and I like went home. I was like, I don't know how to tell you this. And he was like, what? Are you pregnant? And I was like, oh, apparently. I don't even know what's happening right now. And he was like, I was panicked. And he was like, it's fine. We love babies. What do you need? And I was like, I need a nanny. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing with this. This is crazy. And he was like, fine, we'll get a nanny. And then it ended up that week, the mom took the baby and like ghosted. We've never heard from her again. She never like told us she changed her mind or anything. She just like hid from the social worker and everything. And we never heard anything, and we didn't adopt that baby, but now we have Jillian. So she was the baby that we were meant to have, apparently, but it was a really crazy year.
So you gave up on pregnancy. You were like, all right, we're going to maybe look into surrogacy. Then this adoption thing fell on your lap. And while you're busy, fingerprinting and stuff, it took your mind off of trying to get pregnant.
Well, I think I started a new medicine, and one of the side effects is to like fix some of the problems that I was having, apparently, and no one told us that. So when my husband went to his physical, because he had to get a physical for the adoption, when he went to his physical the next year, he was like, hey, whatever happened to that adoption? I had to sign off for it. And he was like, oh, funny story. And the doctor was like, did anyone tell you that a side effect of that is ovulation? And he was like, no, that would have been really helpful information. Yeah. Nobody said that. And still nobody said that. It'd been like months. And nobody had been like, oh, interesting. I know what happened. So yeah, apparently
the most warming story. I mean, it wasn't for you at the moment. I know you were going through the loss of this baby that you were ready for, and then all of a sudden, surprise, and then you have to wait 9 months for her. And were you? Did you have some issues with this, just psychologically? You know. Making sure, wanting her to be healthy and, all of that. Kind of.
Yeah, it was really hard to know that baby was not in a good situation, and that's why she was being given up, and then that she wasn't coming to us and we couldn't help her, and we didn't even know we still don't know where she is, or, we had a name for her, and all those things were really hard to process. And then to make, after that, the other shoe drops, then you're trying to feel attached to this new baby, but it all just feels really fake and crazy. And I'd like already accepted that I would never carry another baby, and I was like good with it. Like, it's okay, I don't have to do those things, and I'm okay with it. And I was like, but now I didn't choose to do it, but I'm doing it. And so I had gestational diabetes, and I had to eat really carefully, and it was just, we had all these trips planned, and I was leading a tour of Ireland at 6 months pregnant for like 10 days with 18 people. It was just none of the things that I would have chosen, and it was fine, but it was a lot of just mentally adjusting the fact that like I didn't control it and I didn't choose it for myself. So that was just so hard to process, and my poor 7-year-old who believed that God was sending him that adopted baby. Like, he prayed for a baby and he believed that God was sending it to him, and to have to break the news to him was the worst thing I've ever done as a parent. Like, horrible, heartbreaking to have that conversation.
Yeah.
It was really rough.
I can't even really grasp everything except for the fact that how much your life has been like this past year, right? Like the past 2 years, really.
2 years. Yeah, everybody's saying 2020. I'm like, I'm going to lump 2019 in there because our last 2 years have been real crazy. And I could do without some of that drama, for sure.
And then you have 2020 and travel restrictions, and you're in a travel, that's what your business is about. And you can't really plan trips when the borders are closed and nothing's open. And so what have you been able to do to fill that void while you're literally unable to do your job, what you love to do? What have you done?
Well, I've just taken a step back, and I always said if I had ever had another baby, I would just like soak up the baby days, because the first time you do it, people tell you it goes by fast, but you don't understand how fast. So I said, if I ever do it again, like I will soak it up. And so I have definitely taken the chance to sit and hold the baby, let the laundry not be done, like whatever. Luckily, I didn't have that much to do because I wasn't doing all the work I should have been doing. So I was just sitting and holding the baby, and I've gotten to really reevaluate which things I want to do and make plans for the future. And then I've gotten to do some things that I always put off for when I had time. So in the next couple of weeks, my new t-shirt line is launching. So people are always talking about my t-shirts. If you follow me on social media, you see I have all these funny t-shirts because I always wear flip-flops. If I'm not wearing my flip-flops, I'm not going, and things like that. So I'm finally launching my t-shirt line. My website's being redone with the shop. So that's something that I've intended to do forever and never done. So
your quote is, if I can't wear flip flops, I'm not going.
Yes, and it's true. I will wear them, or I won't come. So
hey, there are some fancy flip flops out there.
I have fancy flip flops, so
yeah,
they count. I'm like, these are the fancy ones. They're sparkly, so they count.
What's your favorite brand of flip flop?
New Balance. I love their flip flops. Yeah.
Okay, I'm putting a plug for New Balance because
I keep tagging them. I'm waiting for them to catch on. I'm like, come on, New Balance, jump on this train with me.
The face of the flip flop. Okay.
Right.
So when you said you've reevaluated some things that were important, what in your business were you doing before that you're not going to move forward with now?
I'm definitely being more selective. So on my travel agency side, I'm just really focusing on really loyal existing clients, and I'm spending less time on things that don't bring me that joy, that don't give me the thrill that I love about travel. So I don't really book very much domestic travel. Like it's not something that I love and I'm excited about, and honestly not super knowledgeable about because it's not where I travel. So my expertise is definitely better used in other places like in Europe and Caribbean and stuff. So I've just started referring some of that stuff to other people, or if you want to go Disney World, there's great Disney travel agents. I'm happy to put you in touch with some and things like that, where I'm just trying to hone in on what I really love. Because when I started this company, I was kind of feeling stagnant and bored. After 10 years of a travel agent doing the same thing over and over, it was fine, but it wasn't the part of travel that I loved anymore. So I'm really trying to make sure I focus on those things that I love, and on my Instagram marketing, because I absolutely love sharing experiences with people. So again, since I've been home, that's one of the things I've been doing is I try to make sure I go eat in Frisco and the local restaurants. I love to tag the Rail District and say hey, go check out these local businesses, support them. So I've also been really focusing on supporting the small businesses that I know and love, because that's something that I can control right now and do something about. So
yes. So tell me, one of the questions that I've always had is, I don't understand, and I like to ask questions that are kind of under the surface, but for instance, real estate. People don't understand that if you're buying a house and you have a real estate agent represent you to buy a house, the commission for that real estate agent is built into the price of the house. It's already been negotiated by the listing agent.
Right.
So what I mean by that is, by getting a real estate agent to help you find a house, you're not paying anything.
Right.
But the real estate agent is being paid. But how it works, when someone calls you as a travel agent, tell us on the back end how that works and the advantages of having one versus just saying, I'm going to go to American Airlines and book this. What all you can bring to the table.
Okay, yeah, that's a really good question. I love to talk about that because a lot of people don't understand and have that same question.
I don't.
It's actually the exact same. So the price of your vacation includes the price for a travel agent. So you're not paying any more to have a travel agent. They're expecting to pay somebody. And what people don't realize is that they say, oh, I'm not going to use a travel agent. I'm going to go book on Expedia. Well, Expedia is called an OTA, an online travel agency. And they get paid the same that I do, but they do not offer the service that a travel agent will offer. So that's
good. OTA, they get paid the same, but they don't offer the customer service, one-on-one personal attention.
Yes, or the knowledge. I mean, if you call Expedia and say, well, which one has the best food? I guarantee you that they don't know. So they haven't been there. They didn't go check it out for you and come back to tell you. So if you want to know, then, and you realize that, TripAdvisor takes money now for reviews and all that kind of thing, you've got to realize, like, if you actually want the information, you need to go to somebody who knows. And so that's something I've always preached as a travel agent, is like, no one's an expert in the whole world. And I don't pretend to be. If you ask me about a trip to Japan, like, I'll tell you, I mean, I can help you research and book it, but if you are looking for like a dream trip with all the details, like, let's find someone who goes to Japan all the time and let's get you hooked up with them. Because the same thing with the real estate agent, like, you don't want to book, use somebody who doesn't even live in that area and isn't familiar with the neighborhoods. You want to get someone who knows, because that's their job, to advise you. And the thing that they get out of advising you correctly is hoping that you refer more people to them, and that, that builds their business to give you the best appropriate service for what you need.
Yeah, so rapport, the know, like, and trust factor, something that you said when I asked you, what did you do before and what are you leaving behind in the future? And I loved how you said the things that don't make me happy, the things that might make me $1, but they give me heartburn. You didn't say that. Totally. That's what like, is this going to let me sleep at night or not? Yeah. I love that you said specifically you focus on the great clients that you already have. Christine McDermott, my website lady, she's built 3 websites. Now she's building 4 for Chibo. She spends no money on her marketing. All she does is send amazing presents from all the people she's like. If she builds a website, she buys soap for all of her clients. If she, whatever, and she just sent cookie kits to my kids for Halloween.
Love it.
And so that right there, she sends me $5 Starbucks gift cards on my text and says, go slay your day. I mean, she's amazing like that. So I love that you pulled back, we all had the time to do that, focused on what was important, and took forward what made us happy and left behind what didn't.
Yeah, I try to do that really similar thing. I actually just finished and I'm working on another set of client gifts. So when we had to reschedule Italy, I had wine shipped over from the farm that we're going to stay at in Tuscany. And I delivered it to all my clients with cookies from Brownies and Balloons. She made me little custom Italy cookies that said Italy Waits and with my logo. And I got some shoe pants from my girl that used to be my nanny. And she sews these little, they look like pants, and they're for your shoes to put in your suitcase. They don't get dirty. And I made them little baskets, and I dropped it off on their porch with a postcard that said Italy Waits with a picture of the view. And I said, like, I know we're not going now, but we're going to go and we're going to have a great time together. And so that's the kind of thing that I want to keep doing for my clients and have that kind of relationship with them. Man,
oh gosh. And I bet you, as you drop those off, your heart was just like beaming.
Yes, I loved it. It's so fun.
I've got tears in my eyes, my nose. I'm like, no. Yeah, that's so sweet. So before we hopped on live, I had talked to you about really getting down to when you had the guts to fail. And you told me a story about telling your husband that I'm going to just do this. And by Monday, you were clients. Tell us that conversation with your husband, what you transitioned from, and what your first trip was.
Okay. So I've been a travel agent for 10 years, and I was booking really just typical vacations. I say it's typical. It's like what most people in Dallas do. They go to Mexico to an all-inclusive or Jamaica to an all-inclusive, and it's super fun trips. They're great vacations, but there was not that much room for that much more knowledge growth for me. After 10 years of doing it, I had really had it down pat. It wasn't that challenging. I didn't have to research. I could just off the top of my head tell you the 5 that you should choose from, and so I was kind of just feeling stagnant and bored of it. And sometimes I would think about maybe I won't be a travel agent anymore, but then I would think about the insane amount of knowledge that I had in my head. And I was like, that just feels so wasteful. What would I do with all that insane amount of info if I didn't use it anymore, And so I was like, I don't really want to quit, but I don't know what to do. And so I started doing a little bit more Europe because I traveled to Europe. And during all that time of 10 years, I was personally traveling a ton with my family. And so I had started a travel blog because everybody was asking all these questions about what the craziness I was doing with 3 or 4 week trips with my 2 or 3 year old while my husband was working. So he would be working in offices overseas, and then we would just be entertaining ourselves. And then we'd do like little weekend trips as a family, and people were just like completely confused by it. They were like, what are you doing? Like, what stroller do you take? Like, how does that even work? What do you put in your suitcase? You know? And so I started a travel blog, and I would just share like what it was like. And I'd say sometimes I'd say like, FYI, kids still throw tantrums in France. Like, here's my kid on the curb outside the restaurant. He's crying, you know? So my life might seem really fun.
FYI, kids throw tantrums. Okay, keep going.
So I was trying to be really real about it because people were just so interested. So I was trying to just like share what it was really like. But then in that process, I was sharing a lot about the type of trips that we choose when we go on trips as a family. And my whole thing has always been about like seeking out authentic experiences. I always wanted to go and see like, where do they eat when they're in Italy? Like, I don't want to eat by the Colosseum because it's the most touristy place. I want to know, like, if you lived in Rome, like, where's the food that you want to eat, you know? And so I was always like seeking that out. And when we were in Greece, we would always stay on like the remote islands, and we started staying in a lot of agroturismos, which are like working farms in Italy and Greece, and you like eat the food they grew, and I was all about it. And so my clients,
what?
Agroturismo, is what they are in Italy. Yeah.
Okay.
And so my clients were like following me on social media because I booked their trips and they just followed. But then I started getting a lot of questions about like, well, how do I do that? Like, how do I go on that trip? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't have a good way to offer that to you, because pretty much as a travel agent, you have like two options for trips like that. You can either book like a huge big bus tour, and you like wake up at 7 a.m. and you just like go all day. Like, it's just nonstop, like snap a picture and keep going. It's like pack, busy, and you check off the bucket list, but you're not like slowing down and experiencing some of these things. So that's not what I would do. So I didn't feel good about booking that. And then there was like, I'll book you a self-drive tour, and you just like drive yourself around. And it's like, well, if you've never been to Italy before, you probably don't want to drive around the hills of Tuscany and like try to find the right vineyard in the hills of hundreds of vineyards. And I don't want you calling me in Texas and saying like, I'm lost, what should I do? And I'm like, I don't know how to help you from here. You know, like, so I was like, I want it to be a good experience, but I don't know how to give that to you. And so it was something that was kind of mulling around all the time. Like, I wish there's a better option. I wonder if there is. I would go to conferences and talk to like suppliers. And I was like, no, that's not really it. And so there's this agriturismo in Tuscany outside of San Gimignano that we love. We've been going there for about 10 years now, I think. And it's one of our favorite places on earth. And they're like family. We're friends with them. And so they made a TV show about it. I guess it was like 3 years ago, and it aired in LA. And when I watched it, I just like cried like all the way through the show. And I'm like not a crier. And my husband was like, what is wrong with you? Why are you crying? And I was like, I just miss it so much. And he was like, we were there 4 months ago. I think that's a little bit silly. Like, that's a little extreme. And I was like, well, but we're not going this year. And I just feel really sad. And he was like, that's silly. And so like, we're watching the show. And at the end of the show, I was like, what if I just like gathered up some people and took them there? And he was like, I mean, I don't know what that looks like, but okay. Cause I'm always like the crazy, like, you know what I'm doing today? And he's always like, okay, let me know how that goes, you know? And so he was like, okay, sure, whatever. And I like got on my phone. I was like researching and emailing people. And so I was like on Monday night, and on Friday, I was like, I figured it out. Here's how much it's going to cost. Here's what I can do. I found drivers. I found tour guides. I booked rooms. And he was like, wait, you're really doing this? And I was like, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm going to post it on Facebook right now, and people are going to sign up. And he was like, okay. I mean, he was like, well, what happens if they don't go? I was like, I mean, if I go to Italy by myself, I can live with that. Like, if that's the consequence that we have, that I have to pay money and go to Italy and I'm alone, I'll take that risk. It's fine. And so he was like, he was still like, I don't know about this, but he was like, who's going to pay for it? And I was like, well, you know, I had to gather deposits to be able to put down deposits. And I was like, I don't know. We'll see what happens. So see how the timing works out, because they'd hold it for a certain amount of time before you had to pay money to keep it held or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I just posted on Facebook. I was like, all right, guys, all you people who've been asking to go to Italy, you swear you want to go with me next time? Because that was the other thing, is we'd always tell people they could come with us, and everyone would swear they were going. Mm-hmm. And then when it came down, no one ever went with us. And so I was like, all you people, this is your chance. Like, it will never be this cheap again. Like, this, I'm promising you right now, this is the only time it will cost this. And if you want to go, you better go. Like, here's your chance. So I booked a few rooms, and then I got down to like the tipping point where I like was viable or not viable. And I had some friends who were like on the fence, and I had to call them and be like, guys, Like, for real, you better do it, or you're going to pay twice as much next time, I swear. And so I had a couple days, they jumped on and they invited a friend and it like put us over the tipping point. And so I was like, okay, we're doing it. So I sold out my first tour, and I think it was in like 6 weeks that it sold out.
Wow. And
So,
going back to that agroturismo, that place where you live on the farm and you eat, grow, and you just do like local stuff.
yeah. So what I did was, you have to fly into a major city to get there. And so I decided Florence is the closest airport. So I was like, let's find Florence. And I'm not huge on Florence. Like, it's not my favorite because I like the more remote places. But I was like, I'm sure if you've never been to Florence before, you're going to want to like see the sights and check it off your bucket list. So we spent 2 nights, and I like booked private tour guides to take us on walking tours and see the Ponte Vecchio and the Duomo and the David and all that stuff, and planned some really cool dinners. And then I had drivers come and pick us up in Florence and take us to the Agroturismo. So we stayed there for 5 nights, and it's the most amazing food and the craziest view that you've ever seen. Like, it looks fake. No matter how many times I go there, you just think this isn't real.
Okay. So, all right. First 15 minutes, got to know Leah. Wow. I know you much better now too. Last 10 minutes, all about a time you had the guts to fail. This. Okay, great. Now, tell us what your next trip is.
Okay.
Where you, I know you might not have it planned. You might, I don't know. But tell us where you're going next.
Okay.
And then I want you to tell us a little bit about your blog and how we follow you. And if you're still doing that, or how we go back and read that, and how we jump on the next trip.
Okay. So my first trip was Tuscany. That's always going to be like the heart of my business. That is like my favorite place. So I have multiple trips to Tuscany that were scheduled for 2020. And now in April, I've rescheduled all my spring trips to the fall, because I thought, like, surely it'll be fine in October, right? So now I moved all of my trips from all of 2020 to 2021, which pushed my 21 trips into 22. It's not my favorite thing at all. So in March, I have a partnership trip with Color Hype, and she's a local company that does painting kits and lessons. And we're going to go to Florence and Tuscany. We're going to take a fresco painting lesson in Florence, and we're going to do art projects at the farm. We're going to do some painting and some things like that. You're going to have projects to take home and souvenirs. We're also going to take cooking class and explore the little villages around the farm, which is my favorite thing to do. So you get to go to like the world's most award-winning gelato shop in San Gimignano and all kinds of fun, cute little medieval villages. Super fun. Wow. And then I have Scotland in May, and we're going to do castles and distilleries. So we'll start in Edinburgh and make a ring around, go to Isle of Skye and Loch Ness and the Speyside area where all the distilleries that are famous are. And then,
so this is Scotland in May. Is that completely full?
Because it was sold out this year, but because I had to reschedule, there's some people who the new dates didn't work for. So I have a couple of spots on each tour right now, like 2 rooms.
Okay.
And then I have a girls' trip to Florence and Tuscany. And then I have a Venice and Tuscany trip in May. And I'm adding a homeschool tour of Rome.
Wait a minute. So you're going to Scotland, then you're coming home, then you're going to...
No, I group them together. So March, I have girls' trip and art trip. And May, I have Scotland and Venice and Tuscany. So I just like put a couple days in between, and I do 2 at a time. So I don't fly back and forth.
Oh, so you're staying there, but you have some time to yourself in between till your next trip gets there.
Yeah, I have to go around, like, I usually do presents in the room. So I need like a couple days to go shopping and get local stuff and put in everybody's room and get everything set. And I go eat at the restaurants and make sure that the restaurants I want to make reservations for a couple days before we get there, make sure everything is like just the way I want it. And then the people get there. So
that is fascinating. So you're going to spend the entire month of March in Tuscany.
Yes. Hopefully. Yes.
Your job does not suck.
It does not suck. That's true.
It does not suck. And then the Scotland one in May, you're going to do 2 in Scotland?
No, 1 in Scotland, and then I'll move to Italy, and I'm going to do 2 in Italy. So then I'll be there for 2 more trips after that. So I'll do Tuscany and Venice, and then I'm going to move to Rome and do a homeschool tour in Rome at the end of May.
Wow. Wow. And all of those trips do have...
They all have a couple of openings, yeah. They're all mostly full.
Stephanie, my friend Stephanie is a homeschooler, the one that you were, we were talking about. And we have about a minute left, and I bringing up Stephanie, you had said something because you listened to the previous Guts to Fail interview with her, which was quite funny. We're so close, and when she was going to nurse, I was like, what? She goes, no, and I go, no. The camera. Sorry, let me turn that off. So anyways, tell me or tell everyone what you resonated with when you heard her and her London trip. Tell us about what it made you think of in your own life.
Yeah, I thought it was really just so much common similarities in the way that we went through the process, because
hold on. Somebody's asking, Leah knows Ireland better than me. I'm guessing that that's Yvonne Brown.
Yeah, that must be Yvonne. Hi, Yvonne.
He said how much, and I'm guessing they're saying on the trips. So at the end, we will I'll tell you how to get a hold of Leah. Her links are already in the post, so you can contact her through any of those and find out pricing and stuff like that. And then maybe I'll work with you and we'll do a mastermind trip for my group.
Let's do it. I'm all about it.
Sorry. Now go back to what you said. I didn't. Okay.
That's okay. So yeah, Stephanie's story about moving to London was just so resonated with me, because I was a makeup artist when I was 20, and it was because I wanted to travel, and I traveled all over the country doing makeup. And I also worked as a nanny for a family that was a flight attendant and a pilot. And so the year of 9/11, the pilot got an opportunity to partner. They're sharing planes because everybody's trying to cut costs. They're sharing planes and crews with a Spanish company. They asked him if he wanted to go head it up. And he said, I can't go if my kids don't go. My kids can't go if my nanny doesn't go. And we had like one day to decide. And he was like, do you want to go to Europe for the summer? We won't know where until after we say yes. It'll either be Dublin, Mallorca, or Tenerife. And I was like, sure. Yes, I will do that. And so it was like, we were leaving in 6 weeks. We had to get expedited passports, and everybody was freaking out in my family because it was like a few months after 9/11 and we were going over to the Mediterranean. And my dad was like, this is a bad business decision, and you're leaving your job. And I was like, Dad, like, someone's paying me to go to Spain. I'm not going. Like, sorry, too bad. so we went, and it sounded like a great idea when you're 20 and you say yes. But then the night before, I realized like the gravity of the fact that I was taking like 2 children across the world, because he was already gone. So I was taking 2 children across the world by myself, one who has special needs. And then when I got there, he was flying. Like, he was a pilot. He was gone for a week at a time. Sometimes I was like on an island in Spain by myself with 2 kids. And I was like, what was I thinking? Like, what were you thinking letting me do this? And why did I say yes? But it was the same, like, you can do hard things. Like, I had to figure it out. It was super hard. Yeah. And I remember, and I was thinking when she was telling that story, like, every 20-year-old girl should have to do something that hard, because we are not told that we can do those hard things. We're told we shouldn't do them and that they're hard, and I was like, every 20-year-old should go do it and realize you can, because for the rest of my life, I realized, like, if I can do that, like, I can do this. This is, and one of the kids got sick one day, and I had to go to the pharmacy, and I didn't speak Spanish, and they didn't speak English, and they told me come back at 3 because someone kind of speaks English, and so I went, and we like worked it out in Spanish, English somehow, and I got the medicine he needed. But and then when I told the locals, they're like, I thought you didn't speak Spanish. And I was like, well, I don't really speak Spanish, but I'm from Texas, and it like came out of my brain somewhere. Like, somehow I like pulled out the words. I don't know where it came from, So, but when you do things like that, it's terrifying. But then when you do it, you're like, you know what? It was fine. I could do it.
Do this. Yes. Yeah. I think I trace everything back to when I was 20, and the day before my 21st birthday. I'm sorry, the day after my 21st birthday, I had Jaden, and that taught me that I can do hard things. And you going to Mallorca with 2 babies, one is special needs and no help, and trying to find medicine we can do hard things. Yeah. Everyone can have to do hard things. I believe that you should go around telling people every 20-year-old female should have to do something really hard.
Yeah.
That way, carry her through her 20s and teach her for the rest of her life she can do hard things.
Absolutely.
I'm going to end with this. Leah was talking earlier, and she said off camera before we started that sorry, I'm a sniveling mess, because when you said we should do hard things, I just and he's the best thing that ever happened to me. What was the hardest thing I ever did? You said that you used to quit every job that you ever had if they didn't let you off to go on your vacation.
Yeah.
Well, F you, I'm
Yep.
leaving, and I'll just get another job. So the job was just a means to an end.
Absolutely.
I am going to climb this ladder. And I even, look at this, hold on. I even wrote a ladder. I didn't care about the ladder. Like the ladder made nothing. No, it was not, it just, whatever. So you didn't care about the ladder. You were making the dollars so that you could go to Tuscany.
Yes.
And if the dollars person didn't let you go, then you're like, well, then I don't need you.
It's replaceable. That's what I would tell them. I was usually working in sales, and I was like, you know what? Your competitor will probably hire me. It's fine. I'll just go. I can come back later. And I always say that going to Mallorca that summer ruined my chances of being a real grown-up forever.
Yes, so you are a real grown-up. One of the real grown-ups that figured out that when you do what you love, you don't work a day in your life. I'm working right now.
Me too.
Yeah, we're working. This is our job. We didn't commute anywhere. Thank you.
Yeah.
And my laundry's still not done, just so you know. I work.
Mine isn't either.
Oh gosh, Leah, I could talk to you forever. So everybody in the comments, not every, y'all are so inspiring. You're inspiring, Facebook. You are, but you're inspiring.
I love you too.
Everybody wants me to plan a mastermind trip with you, so done. I mean,
I'm all about it.
I knew what you meant. She said so inspiring. So anyways, I appreciate you. Everybody rush out. Go check out the trips that she has. Your blog is linked, I believe. And if it's not, would you mind putting it in the comments of this thread on Bungalow U? And I'll add it to the post as well. And I think everybody is now inspired to go on one of your trips.
I hope so.
Tourism, you had me at the best food ever because I
so good
food. So I'm very
I love for people to join me. It's the part of my passion is definitely like seeing people's face light up when they check off those bucket lists. Like I love being there and seeing it happen. It's so special. So I hope you all come with me on an adventure.
Yes, we'll stay on the camera for a little bit. I'm going to end the broadcast, say bye to everyone. Leah and I are definitely doing a girls trip to Ireland, post-corona issues. Whoop, whoop.
Yes, Yvonne, we are.
Yes. Okay, so bye, you guys. Thank you for joining us today, and I will see you next Thursday for the next Guts to Fail.